insolent peasants! Prepare to die. They dare not strike back to the death. I never hold back. Strike quickly, strike deftly.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Fiora today. It is a split pusher in the top lane. She's used as a counter pick to tanks because she has so much true damage in her kit. So the passive, you'll see this vitals appear on the enemy champion, and you can attack that vital to deal some bonus true damage based on the maximum health. It's also going to heal you for a bit, and then it also gives you some bonus movement speed. So this is like the main thing about Fiora, is that you really want to play around these vitals. This is why most of the damage is at, and this is also what makes her so good into bruisers and tanks. Your Q is this dash, that deals damage, and if you hit a target with it, then you're going to get half of the cooldown refunded. So the way you want to use this Q is that since you mainly play around the vitals, this Q is used to help you really maneuver around the enemy champion and hit those vitals. Because as long as you make sure to hit those vitals in the later stages, you're going to win out most fights, because this is a champion that's very strong in those 1 versus 1s. It is a late game scaling champion, and she destroys most champs in the game. Your E is an auto attack reset that's going to empower the next 2 auto attacks. So the first auto attack with that E is going to slow the opponent, and then the second auto attack is going to be a guaranteed crit. Now it works as an auto attack reset, meaning that before you use that E, use one normal auto attack first and then use that E immediately afterwards. That's going to make it so the damage comes out really fast. Your W is an ability that Fiora is normally hated for because it's really annoying to play against. So what it does is that it's going to block out all damage, not tower damage, but like champion damage and such, and it blocks out the damage. And if you use it to block out an immobilizing CC ability and then hit the opponent with that W skill shot, it's going to stun them. It doesn't only stun them, but it also cripples them, so it's going to lower their attack speed. So it's really crucial against champions like the Tryndamere, who relies a lot on auto attacking. Because even if they don't have any hard CC abilities that you can block out with, as long as you make sure to hit them with that W skill shot, it is going to slow them, cripple them, meaning that their attack speed is going to be lowered by a lot. So it makes it really hard for them to trade back. This is an ability that you want to use reactively. Try to time it with the opponent's ultimates. You know, for example, Nautilus ultimate, you can block that out. You can block out so many things, but it also has a very high cooldown, so you really want to be careful to not waste it. But save it for those important damaging abilities or CCing abilities. You have to get really good at using this ability, and this is all about reaction time. You have to become really good at predicting the opponent and know when they're going for what. The Fiora, you want to maneuver around, proc those vitals, and the thing is, if the vitals are in a bad spot like they are right now, what you can do to reset them is that if you just walk out of range, then it's going to automatically reset. Otherwise, they stay on the target for like 13 seconds or so, if I remember it right. So you can wait for it to expire, or you can also manually reset it by attacking it, so it's going to spawn in a different place, or you can walk out of range. And walking out of range is usually the easiest thing to do if they're in a bad spot. So constantly use that Q, the dash, to move in and out. Use that to hit the vitals fill, and then you can use that bonus movement speed to kite back. And you have the ultimate up. So what it does is that the passive grants you that extra bit of movement speed for your normal passive. So whenever you proc a vital, you get that extra bit of movement speed. That's going to give you even more movement speed now. And then the active makes it so all of the vitals will be revealed on the enemy champion instantly. So this is what you use when you want to all-in the enemy champion. And if you get to proc at least one vital and the enemy champion dies, then this zone is going to form around them that's going to heal all of your allied targets, like all of your teammates. It's going to heal everybody. Not the enemies though, so if you can execute somebody in a fight and get that ultimate off, then it really does a lot. So I can either get the healing zone by getting at least one vital and have the enemy player die, or you can proc all the vitals before they expire. That will also give you the zone. But remember that the W, it does really help with that ultimate as well, because if the target is somewhat mobile, what you want to do is that you can W the target, just hit them with a skill shot without blocking out anything, because it's going to cripple them, so they will be slowed, and then it can be easier for you to like maneuver around and hit all of the vitals. But when you all in on Fiora, you typically do it right after you blocked out an immobilizing CC with your W, so like stun the opponent, and then you go in with that ultimate. It is a late game scaling split pusher though. She can destroy most champions in 1 versus 1. The main goal for you to do is that you destroy your opponent in the silence and you just keep split pushing. Because Fiora is like god tier in the silent, but she's not very good in teamfights. She can be okay, it really depends. If you can get that ultimate off, then of course she can do well, but it's really rare. The main goal is to split push as much as possible, and that Q, guys, that also works in towers. Your E and your Q works in towers and stuff like wards as well. So like if you want to take out a ward instantly before it goes invisible, then you can like auto attack, then Q and then E as well. That allows you to take down these wards instantly, and this is also what you want to do when you push for towers, because this really makes us such a good tower taker. Do make sure though that whenever you use your Q, that you actually hit something with it, because if you don't, then it's going to go on a full cooldown, meaning that you're going to be immobile for a short duration, and during that time the opponent can trade back or cut you. So make sure that you hit something when you use it, preferably the enemy champion and the vital, because that's how you want to use it normally. The main goal with that Q is that you can maneuver around and really hit those vitals no matter where they are. But you want to carry as a split pusher, that is your main goal as Fiora. She takes down towers extremely fast. So of course you want to push for the towers, but also try to get the vitals. You know, whenever the enemy champion walks up and tries to farm, try to queue in and get that vital. But do be careful, because if they rush something like a bramble vest, then every single time you queue them, or every single time you proc a vital with your auto attacks, then that anti-healing is going to be applied to you, so you will not heal as much anymore. So that's a big counter item to Fiora, anti-healing. Just make sure on Fiora that use that Q as well as that E properly. You don't just want to randomly use it to reset your auto attack timer so you get the damage off faster. That is especially crucial when you push for towers. So it is a scaling champion. Her early game is not that strong. Sometimes you're able to get away with it when you can play really aggressive in the early game, because her level 1 can be strong depending on the opponent. If the vitals are in a good spot, then you can definitely look for trades. You just constantly want to go in and out with that Q, proc as many vitals as possible, and when the opponent's low HP, that's when you go all in with that ultimate. If you don't need that W to like block out the damage or CC, then just use it to engage with, because it does cripple the opponent. So it's gonna help you like get behind them, get the vitals that are in a bad spot, and even to proc all of the vitals with your ultimate. Really want to get as many tower plays as possible. It is a champion that can do well in 1 versus 2s as well. As soon as she has her items, it's like a Jax in the silent. They are really hard to stop. So it's a type of champion that forces like multiple enemy players to come and defend against you. And this is the kind of stuff that people hate playing against the most. So you have a lot of pressure when you play those split pushers. You just have to know how to do it perfectly. Just prioritize spending as much time in the side lane as possible. You can look for ganks for your TP, but your main goal should be to split push for as much as possible. So we did not get the last vital right here, so actually I thought that Kha'Zix had enough damage to like finish off GP, but we miscommunicated it, so it went a bit wrong. But we still got a kill though, and we also have TP up. So now we have the Goredringer. This is of course the core item on Fiora, but you can also go for other items like the 24s and the Divine Sunderer. 24 is very good against squishy teams. Goredringer makes you really tanky, gives you a lot of healing, and then you also get that extra bit of damage that can work against champions, but also minions. But this is the mythic item that's built the most on Fiora, but you do have quite a few options to choose from. Now the next item we want some more sustain, and that is going to be the Ravenous Hydra. That's like the big spike on Fiora, is that when you have the mythic item and then when you have the Ravenous Hydra, that's why you really come online. That's why you start forcing stuff, because the thing Fiora is missing is wave clear. She does not have any of it, so that's where Goredringer and Ravenous Hydra comes in. They give wave clear, they also give a lot of damage, and they also give sustain. And Fiora is a champion where you really want to be building AD. You build bruiser items, but you want to make sure that you're having a lot of AD. And that is because your passive scales off of AD, same goes for your ultimate, and of course your auto attacks as well. So that's why it's such an important stat on Fiora. And of course also your Q, which is also physical damage. So AD is a really important stat, so that's why you play her like a carry, but you can still build those bruiser items. Just keep split pushing in the side lane. That's all you gotta do, honestly. She's not that strong in teamfights. She's not designed to do well in teamfights. It's a split pusher and she's god tier in the side lane. So when they're that strong in the side lane, then it would be way too OP if they were also strong at teamfighting. It does not mean she cannot teamfight, it's just that she's going to be a lot weaker in teamfights compared to something like a Gangplank. So just want to pressure the opponent as much as possible in the side lanes, because you can really look for those kills as soon as you get your items. You can even start tower diving the opponent because you have a lot of mobility. You're pushing out the waves and you don't have anything else to do. You can go into the enemy jungle, steal away the camps because that is going to tilt them, and that also puts you further ahead. And we got the blue buff. That's really nice to have because of course I have a Q. Low cooldown. Ability that will be spamming a lot, so blue buff is of course nice to have. And then we got the Tiamat. This is for the wave clear. Of course it also provides a lot of damage, but it also gives wave clear. When you want to split push in the side lane, it's very important that you're able to push out waves fast. Because if you can push out waves fast, then you can reach the towers even faster, and then you can also take them down. So wave clear is a very important thing to have, not only as a mid laner, but also as a top laner. And since Fiora does not have anything in her kit, you have to get it through the items. That is what the Goredringer gives you, and that is also what the Tiamat and the Ravenous Hydra gives you. So as soon as you have these items, then your wave clear is online. That's why you can start pushing a lot faster. Just stay in the silence, be as annoying as you possibly can, and if you're pushed this far up and you don't have anything else to take, just go for the jungle camps. That also gives you a lot of gold and XP as well. That's how you get those like 2-3 level CS lead, and you also get that 10 CS per minute. High CS numbers. You have to make sure that you are spending as much time in the silence as possible, and then you also farm the jungle camps. We pushed out the top lane, now we're gonna take away the Grump. Also get some health back, so that's of course nice, and that's what you want to do. Just take away everything. You have to be really selfish when you play these late game skilling split pushers. You know, like the Jax, Fiora, Kill and so on. You want everything for yourself. Now you can also get anti-healing if you feel like you need it. For example, if you play against the Aatrox or any other champion with a lot of healing, like the Darius with its auto Q, then you can get the anti-healing. You can get the Bramble Vest or you can get the Executioners. It depends if you feel like you need the armor or if you want more damage on top of anti-healing. But that's definitely also something that you can get early on. Just make sure that you're not fully completing the anti-healing item until you have at least the core items, so the Goredringer, the boots and the Ravenous Hydra. So even though the opponent is fed, because of how Fiora works and her W guys, you can even fight really fed champions. You know, they have a fed Yone, Yasuo, Trindaman, so on. You're still able to fight them as long as you play it right and use that W right, because that W ability is so crucial in fights. It's like the ultimate counter to assassins. Because whenever they use their ultimate, you can just counter it with a W and you're not going to receive any damage, and then you can also potentially CC them or at least slow them. Try to be as annoying as possible in the silence. It's like a Tryndamere with just AFK split push over and over. Force the enemy team to take bad decisions. If they send multiple people towards you, then your teammates can do Dragon or Baron or whatever is up. We want that Ravenous Hydra as soon as possible. When that happens, then we're gonna have a lot of sustain and a lot of damage as well. So the fun part really begins when you have that item. It's a lot easier to push out the waves now. But now we can start going ham. We're already sitting on 4 kills and almost 10 CS per minute. And that's only something you can do if you make sure to spend a lot of time in the silence and also get those jungle camps. You are setting the enemy jungler behind and also extending your own lead. So it's like a win-win. You can group on Fiora when you have teleport up, or if you don't. Normally you only want to be grouping if you're like going to fight for an important objective. Because otherwise you're much better off spending as much time in the silent as possible, because that is where you are at the strongest. You are not very strong in teamfights. As you can see, if people gang up on you, you're gonna get blasted. You're gonna get absolutely bursted down without you being able to do anything. But if you have to teamfight, then try to flank. You want to get to the AD carry or the mid lane carry. Get that ultimate on them. Burst them down and make sure that that healing zone activates, because that is going to give you and your teammates so much HP back. So now that we have the Ravenous Hydra and the Goredringer, it's a bit situational what you build next. Normally Sterak's Gauge is very important item on bruisers, split pushers, because while giving a lot of damage, it also makes you super tanky. So it's like omega difficult for AD carries and assassins to like take you down. Only try to group when you're fighting for objectives, otherwise you just want to split push. Just go into silence. Normally you want to be in the opposite side of where the main objective is. So if the Baron is up, then you want to be bot lane, because then if you force multiple opponents to come defend against you, there's a much higher chance that your teammates can secure the Baron. And you should have your teleport up most of the time when you're split pushing, so you'll always be able to help out your teammates. So split push a lot on this champion. That is something you have to master if you want to be good on Fiora. It is a pretty difficult champion because of the vitals. You have to be really good at proccing them. Because if you fully master Fiora, then you can proc those vitals almost instantly. Like with that ultimate, when all of the vitals appear, some really good Fiora players can proc those almost immediately, and that's going to act as insane burst damage and also give you a lot of sustain. And if you manage to do that, you're going to win every single fight. You can see I'm still prioritizing getting all of that side lane gold and XP for myself, and you should as well if you're playing Fiora. That's like your main goal, split pusher, not team fighter, but a split pusher, so you stay in the side lanes. You pretty much just repeat this. If you're not able to find kills in the side lane, you show out the waves. Then you get into the enemy jungle, clear out vision, get some vision down for yourself, and also clear out the camps. By the time you clear out the camps, then that next wave should be pushing back towards you. Then you can farm that, and then you can go back into the enemy jungle. But if the tower is up, then make sure that you're getting that, and make sure that you're using that Q, and also use that E as an auto attack reset, because that is what makes Fiora really good at taking down the towers. Like, she can take them down insanely fast. And of course you'll be able to do that even faster if you have an item with Sheen, you know, like Essence Reaver, Divine Sundra, Trinity Force. Then she can do that insanely fast as well. I'll be getting those kills for free. You can group with your teammates if you see them getting caught, or if they're forcing a bad fight, or if you think a bad fight is going to happen. Then you can like group before it starts. That you have to be able to predict that your teammates will do something stupid, because then you will be able to react to it. And then you can move there before the fight happens. I am in the bottom side right now because the Baron is up, so you want to be in the opposite side. Sometimes if your carries are staying in the bot lane, then and if they don't want to rotate, you cannot do anything about it, but usually you want to be in the opposite side. And if you do play her right, then of course it is a champion that can easily go for those 1 versus 2s. So make sure that you only use that W when you really need it. Use it to counter those high burst damaging abilities, or those crucial CC skill shots that could possibly screw you over. You can see all that ridiculous healing you have on Fiora if you can hit those vitals, and also because of that gold ringer we got a lot of health back. So this is the stuff that you can pull off when you master this champion. This is also why you have to be in the silent, because people will be forced to take bad decisions. When they see you pushing and taking down the towers, they're gonna send multiple people down. And that means that they will be sharing the gold and XP, so they will end up falling behind. And it also gives your teammates some free time to get some farm for themselves. They can also take dragons, they can take barons, or they can take all the towers, so they will have a lot of options. So we got the Xerax Gauge, that's another big spike. As I said, it gives you a lot of damage, but it also makes you Omega tanky. So like even assassins will not be able to burst you down anymore. Now that you have this item, you can start building other items like the Death Stance. Totally depends on who you're playing against. Since we're playing against an AD assassin and a gank playing, and we also have an AD carry on the enemy team, armor is really good. And not only armor, but also anti-burst. That is what Death Stance has. Just run the enemy team down like this. You can save that W, for example in this game, when we team fight, if the Nautilus tries to focus you down, you can just W, and then try to aim that W at an AD carry or any other crucial target, and that's going to stun them, and that should give you like enough time to burst them down. So because you have this W ability, then the opponent will also be a lot more careful with using their skill shot. So you can really delay all of their abilities just because of how careful they have to be around you. The right move would of course be to go for Baron right now, because we took down almost the entire enemy team, meaning that we would have a lot of extra time to take down the Baron, because that is the objective that you need to end the game with. Because the Baron is like a dream for those split pushers, because it buffs up the minions. So in the side lane, it's a lot harder for the enemy champion to take away the minions before you get to like push for the objectives. And of course, using that W right can block out all of the damage. And that's why it is so hard for assassins to take down Fiora in a 1 versus 1. But remember, split push over and over on Fiora. You only want to group when you fight for objectives or when you think a fight is going to start. Because if you play in solo queue, then you cannot trust your teammates. They will get caught, it's going to happen all the time. It even happens in my high elo games. So you have to be really good at predicting when that's going to happen, and then you want to move before it happens. That's something high elo players can do, and that's really one of the big differences. He has some insane late game scaling, especially as you get those 80 items. You're going to deal crazy amounts of damage while having a ton of sustain and also being extremely tanky. Just gonna TP bot here so you can like pressure from multiple lanes. My teammates are pushing top and mid, so I want to make sure that I'm pushing the bottom way because we have a cannon minion with a Baron buff, so it should be really easy to take down the towers. And this is how you can use the W, guys. Just use it to block out those CC abilities, hit the enemy champion, they're gonna be stunned and they'll not be able to chase you anymore. And especially if you have an enemy minion wave around you where you can constantly Q to refund the cooldown, like some of it, then you become really mobile. This is the burst damage that you have on Fiora. You can easily pull off those tower dives on the AD carry, even tanks, as long as you could pull out and hit those vitals. That's what's crucial, and you really have to learn to proc those vitals as fast as possible. But this is all you gotta do, guys, so I hope this was helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you all in the next video.